Level 1. The page. You are 7 years old. Your mother clutches you too long at the gate. Your father does not. He is a knight, a minor one with a small estate and a heavy debt. He has dispatched you to serve a greater lord. This is how it goes for boys like you. You ride off on a borrowed pony. You do not glance back. Glancing back is for children. You are no longer permitted to be one. The castle is colossal. It engulfs you. You are one of a dozen pages. They are all sons of knights and lesser nobles. They were all sent here to be trained. You sleep in a frigid hall on a straw mat. The older boys claim the spots near the fire. You take what remains. Fairness does not reside in this place. You learn quickly that the world is a ladder. You are standing on the bottom rung. You serve the Lord and his lady. You carry their goblets. You pour their wine. You stand behind their chairs at supper. You do not speak unless addressed. You learn to bow. You learn to kneel. You learn the difference between a duke and a count and a baron. Misusing the wrong title can earn you a slap. You learn which cup the Lord favors. You learn which hound he prefers. You learn which moods to steer clear of. In the mornings, the master-at-arms takes you to the yard. You grip a wooden sword too heavy for your small hands. You swing it at a wooden post until your arms tremble. You fall. You rise. You fall again. The older boys jeer. The master does not. He simply observes. His scrutiny is worse than the mockery. The cold seeps into your bones and lingers. You learn to ride a horse properly. You learn to handle a hawk. You learn to read a little Latin from a priest who reeks of candle smoke. You learn courtesy, a kind of armor woven from words. You are being molded. You can sense it happening the way a blade senses the hammer. You do not yet grasp the shape, but you trust that someone does. At night, you weep into your sleep where no one can hear. You long for your mother. You long for the scent of bread in your father's hall. You confide in no one. A page who cries gets remembered for the wrong reasons, so you swallow it down. You learn the first true skill of this new existence. You learn how to conceal what you feel. Level 2. The squire. You are 14 now. 7 years have toughened you. The wooden sword is a distant memory. They have handed you steel. The steel is heavy. You have come to love its heft. You are assigned to a knight named Sir Aldrich. He is a stern man with a scar through his eyebrow. His temper resembles foul weather. You are his squire now, his shadow, his servant, his charge. You tend to everything he owns. You clean his armor after every ride. You scour the rust with sand and vinegar until your fingers split. You sharpen his sword. You oil his leather. You feed his warhorse, a massive, foul-tempered beast that has tried to bite you more than once. You learn that a knight is only as capable as the squire standing behind him. No knight will ever admit it aloud. You follow him to tournaments. You watch from the edge of the field. He charges other men with a lance. You learn the rules of the joust. You learn the points of the melee. You learn the etiquette of surrender and ransom. You witness men carried off the field with shattered bones. You witness one man die. A splintered lance found the gap in his visor. You begin to understand that the games are not games. Sir Aldrich trains you himself when the mood strikes him. He drills you with sword and shield until you retch. He teaches you where a man is vulnerable. The throat, the armpit, the groin, the gap behind the knee. He tells you chivalry is for ballots. He tells you survival is for the yard. You believe him. You have witnessed the field. You know which one is genuine. You go to your first war at 16. It is not glorious. It is mud and dysentery and waiting. Mostly waiting. You learn that war is mostly tedium and dread. You carry Sir Aldrich's spare lances. You hold his horse. When the lines finally collide, you stand at the rear. You watch men you know turn into wreckage. After the battle, you walk the field searching for the wounded. You see what a mace does to a helmet. You do not sleep for 3 nights. The faces return when you shut your eyes. You also begin to notice the Lord's daughter. Her name is Elena. She's your age. She has dark eyes and a sharp tongue. She should be far beyond your reach. But she lingers when you cross the courtyard. You say nothing. You are a squire with no land and no title. You bury the feeling in the same place you buried your tears as a child. The place is growing crowded. Level 3. The Night Bachelor. You are 21. The day arrives that you have toiled 14 years for. The night before, you keep a vigil in the chapel. You kneel on cold stone with your sword on the altar before you. You pray. You think of your father. You have not seen him in years. You think of the boy who rode off on a pony, In the morning the Lord taps your shoulders with a blade. He calls you sir. You are a knight. The boy who rode off on a pony is gone. The dubbing is the simple part. The labor is everything after. You are a knight bachelor now. You hold the title but no land and no men of your own. You are a sword for hire with a nobleman's manners. You owe service to the Lord who raised you. In exchange he feeds you, houses you, and pays you when there is coin. There is rarely enough coin. You are perpetually one bad season from ruin. You fight in his wars. You ride in the front rank now, not the rear. The first man you kill is a peasant levy. He barely carries a spear. He regards you the way a deer regards a hunter. You do it regardless because the alternative is dying yourself. That night you wait to feel something dreadful. It does not arrive. That absence unsettles you more than the killing itself. You are 21 and already something is missing. You learn the economics of war. A knight does not always slay his enemy. A captured noble is worth a ransom, sometimes a fortune. So you learn to recognize fine armor and good horses. They mark a man worth more alive. You take your first prisoner at 23. He is a foreign knight whose family pays you 40 marks. It is more money than your father ever possessed. You begin to grasp how a landless man becomes a landed one. You marry Elena. Her father resists, then yields. You have proven yourself. Her dowry needs a sword to guard it. You love her, which is rare and not obligatory. She bears you a son within the year. You name him after your father. You hold the boy. You feel something split open in your chest. It is a door to a room you did not know you possessed. You vow he will not be sent away at 7. You will break that part of the cycle. You do not yet know how difficult that promise will be to honor. Level 4. The Household Knight. You are 28. The Lord has taken you properly into his household. Now you are one of his sworn knights. You are part of his standing strength. You are one of the men he keeps near. You wear his colors. You eat at his table below the salt, but at the table nonetheless. You have a small chamber in the castle for yourself and your wife. Your son sleeps in a trundle bed at your feet. It is the greatest security you have ever known. You do not trust it. Nothing good has ever endured. Your duties expand beyond combat. You sit in judgment on minor disputes when the Lord is away. 2 villagers quarrel over a boundary stone. You settle it. A miller is accused of cheating. You weigh the grain yourself. You learn that power is mostly drudgery punctuated by violence. You learn that men will lie to your face about a chicken. They lie with the same conviction they would summon about murder. You spend your seasons in the saddle. In summer you ride to war or to tournament. In autumn, you collect the Lord's dues from villages that cannot afford them. You see hunger in those villages. You see children with swollen bellies you will never forget. You take the grain regardless because that is the obligation. A soft knight is a poor knight. A poor knight cannot feed his own son. The fighting worsens, not improves. You take a spear through the thigh at a siege. The wound festers for a month. You nearly lose the leg. The surgeon pours boiling wine into it. You bite through a leather strap to keep from screaming before younger men. You walk with a limp for the rest of your life. On cold mornings the leg throbs like a bad memory. Your body keeps the accounts your mind tries to forget. Elena bears you a daughter. You name her after her mother. You watch your children grow within castle walls. You ride out to keep those walls standing. Your son is 6 now. He asks when he will get a sword. You look at him. You remember the cold hall and the older boys by the fire. You tell him soon. You do not tell him everything. Some things a boy should learn slowly if at all. Level 5. The Banneret. You are 35. War shaped you. It makes or breaks every man in your trade. At a battle whose name the ballads will mangle, the line broke. You held it. You rallied the men around you. The night above you had collapsed. You turned a rout into a stand. The Lord witnessed it. The king's man witnessed it. On the field, bloodied and barely upright, they cut the tail from your pennon. They made it a square banner. You are a knight banneret. This is the rung you have climbed toward your entire life. You command men of your own now. A dozen knights ride beneath your banner. Behind them ride sergeants and archers and a long train of servants. You are no longer merely a sword. You are a hand that wields many swords. The difference is immense. It is mostly fear. Other men's deaths are now your decisions. The Lord finally grants you land, a manor with a village, fields, a mill, a wood. The income is yours in exchange for the service of you and your men. You ride to see it for the first time. The villagers emerge to look at their new master. They bow. The bowing makes your skin crawl. They are afraid of you. Once you were the one who was afraid. You have become the man who once seized grain from the hungry. Now the village is yours to drain or to nurture. You choose mostly to nurture it, not out of softness but arithmetic. Mercy is a luxury you cannot always afford. A starved village pays no rent and breeds no soldiers. You repair the mill. You are fair at the manor court. You earn something better than fear. You earn a grudging usefulness. Your steward thinks you sentimental. You let him believe it. You remember the swollen bellies. You would rather not witness them on your own land. Your son is 13. The moment has arrived. You confront the promise you made when he was an infant. You do not send him away to a stranger. You keep him near. You train him yourself. You do it the way Sir Aldrich trained you, minus the worst of the cruelty. He cleans your armor now. He oils your sword. He looks at you with the eyes you once turned on the men above you. You see the cycle in those eyes. You wonder if you can alter it or merely slow it down. Level 6. The Lord. You are 42. The Lord who raised you is dying. He is the stern old man whose cups you once carried as a boy. He has no surviving sons. 2 died of fever. 1 died on a field beside you. On his deathbed, he entrusts his lands and his daughter's family to your protection. Through your wife's bloodline and your own long service, much of his holding passes to you. You are no longer a knight with a manor. You are a lord with knights. The shift is a weight you feel in your spine. You hold several villages now, a proper castle, a seat at the regional councils. Knights swear oaths to you. They kneel where you once knelt. You clasp their hands between yours. You promise them protection in exchange for service. You see your own youth in their faces. Some of them mean the oath. Some are already counting the years until you weaken. You have learned to tell the difference. Trust is a wound you stopped reopening. Your days fill with matters that have nothing to do with swords. You manage harvests and grain stores against the lean years. You arrange marriages between families to forge alliances. You collect rents and settle debts and argue with merchants and bishops. You hold court and hang a man for murder. You watch the rope go taut. You feel nothing you can name. You understand now what Sir Aldrich meant about the ballads. There are no songs about ledgers and gallows. No one warns the boys about the paperwork. The politics are the real war now, and it never ends. Your neighbors test your borders. A rival lord disputes a stretch of woodland. It nearly comes to blows before you settle it. You spend more time drafting letters than swinging steel. You keep your old sword sharp regardless, oiled by habit. A lord who cannot fight is a lord whose vassals begin to wonder. The wondering is how it starts. The blade is how it ends. You have buried more friends than you can count. Elena is your anchor through it all. She runs the household with an iron calm. You patrol the borders. Your son is 20 now and knighted. He is a young man with your build and his mother's sharp tongue. He fights well. He fights eagerly, too eagerly, in a way you never quite did. He has not yet witnessed what you witnessed on that first muddy field. You watch him ride out and you pray to a god you half believe in. Level 7. The Baron. You are 49. The king himself summons you. You answered every call to arms for years. You sent men and grain whenever the crown demanded them. That loyalty has not gone unnoticed. The king elevates you to Baron. You hold your lands now directly from the crown. No lord stands between you anymore. You kneel before the king as you once knelt before a dying old man. You feel the whole long climb of your life beneath you. The barony is a different world. You sit in the great councils now, among men whose families have held titles for centuries. They look at you. They see what you are. You are a knight's son who clawed his way up through mud and ransom and luck. Some respect it. Most resent it. You learn to read a hall full of smiling enemies. You read it the way you once read a battlefield. The skills are not so different. The blades are simply better concealed. You miss the honesty of an open field. You owe the crown a great deal now. The crown owes you nothing it will not extract in return. You must raise men when the king wages war. You must contribute to his treasury. You must attend his court and flatter his favorites. You navigate the endless current of who is rising and who is falling. You see men ruined by a single misjudged word. You speak carefully. Every word in this hall is a wager. You have always been skilled at concealing what you feel. The skill finally pays off in full. A lifetime of silence made you a master of rooms. You go to war again, an old man among young ones. Your leg screams in the saddle. Your eyes are not what they were, but you ride because a baron leads from the front or he does not lead at all. Your son rides beside you now, a knight in his prime. In the chaos of the melee, you lose sight of him for an hour that stretches like a year. When you find him alive, your relief is so total it frightens you. That night, by the fire, your son speaks of glory and honor. He speaks of the songs they will sing. You listen. You see yourself at his age. You see who you might have become if the field had not taught you better. You tell him quietly that the songs are written by men who were not there. He does not understand yet. He will. You only hope the lesson does not cost him what it cost the men you watched die. Level 8. The Marshal. You are 55. The king needs a man who knows war the way you know it. He needs a man who learned it from the mud, not from books. He names you Marshal of his host. You are commander of his armies in the field. It is the highest a fighting man can rise without royal blood. You command thousands now. The boy who could not lift a wooden sword now decides where 10,000 men will march. You decide how many of them will return home. The responsibility is crushing in a way single combat never was. In a duel, only your own life rides on your skill. As Marshal, every order you give sends other men to die. You plan the campaign in tents lit by guttering candles. You shift wooden markers across maps. You calculate supplies and roads and weather. You weigh the loyalty of allies who may betray you the instant it profits them. You sleep 4 hours a night. You have not slept well since you were a page. You learn that the largest part of war is not battle. It is bread. Bread and boots and the will to keep walking. An army marches on its stomach. A marshal who cannot feed his men will lose without a sword ever being drawn. You spend your days arranging grain shipments. You secure supply lines. You pay mercenaries who will desert if the coin runs late. You remember collecting dues from starving villages a lifetime ago. Now you are the reason whole regions go hungry. The scale has changed. The arithmetic has not. You hate that you excel at this. You win a great battle and the kingdom rings with your name. You also know the truth of it. You won because the enemy commander erred. You won because the rain arrived when you needed it. You won because a unit held that should have broken. You take the credit because a marshal must. But in the dark, you know how thin the margin was. You have seen too many good men lose to luck. You no longer believe in your own legend. Legends are stories the survivors tell. Elena dies that winter. A fever claims her in 3 days while you are away with the army. You return home to a cold seat and a fresh grave. Your children have grown into strangers by your absence. You stand over the stone and you cannot weep. The concealment of grief was a skill you learned as a boy. It has hardened into something you can no longer undo. You would surrender every title you hold for 1 more hour at her table. The titles do not work that way. Level 9. The Earl. You are 61. The crown rewards a lifetime of service with the highest honor it can bestow. It is the highest a man not born to a title can be granted. The king makes you an earl. You govern a vast swath of the realm in the king's name. You are one of the most powerful men in the kingdom. You are a peer of the realm, a name spoken in every hall. The page who cried into his sleeve can now raise armies and ruin houses. You rarely touch a sword now. Your war is fought with letters and alliances and the slow poison of court. You sit at the king's right hand and advise him on matters of state. You marry your daughter into a powerful family to secure your line. You arrange your son's advancement. You pull the strings you spent a lifetime learning to grasp. You move men across the board of the kingdom, the way you once moved markers across a campaign map. The power is real and it is also a cage. You cannot trust the men who smile at your table. Every favor you grant creates an enemy among those you did not favor. Younger lords circle you, measuring your age. They are waiting for the moment your grip loosens. You sleep with a guard at your door, not from cowardice but from arithmetic. You have made too many enemies in too many years to ever sleep easy again. You did not choose this. You only chose to survive. This is the price survival charged. Survival was always the only plan. Your body is failing you in earnest now. The leg that took the spear at 28 barely supports your weight. Your hands tremble. The hands that once held the banner now spill the wine. Old wounds ache with every shift in weather. They are a map of your whole life written in scar tissue. The physicians tell you to rest. You almost laugh. Rest is for men with fewer enemies. A man in your position who appears to weaken invites the wolves. So you stand straight in public through gritted teeth. You save the trembling for the dark. Your son is 40 now, a lord in his own right with sons of his own. You watch your grandson, a boy of 7, sent off to serve in a great house. You wanted to break that cycle. You vowed once that you would. You stand at the gate as the boy rides off on a borrowed pony. He does not look back because looking back is for children. You realize you broke nothing. You only climbed high enough to fit a finer saddle onto the same old horse. Level 10. The Old Lion. You are 70. That is ancient for a man of your trade. Most of the boys you trained alongside are decades dead. They fell on fields whose names are now forgotten. You did not fall. You endured. That was always your truest weapon. It was never the sword. It was the simple, stubborn refusal to die when the world kept handing you reasons. You sit by a great fire in a great hall that is yours. Tapestries cover the walls. Servants move quietly at the edges of the room. The boy who slept on straw now owns the warmest seat in the kingdom. You earned every inch of it. The straw mat feels nearer than it should. You are not certain it was worth what it cost. A young knight kneels before you tonight. He has come to seek your blessing before he rides to his first war. He is your grandson's friend, full of fire, hungry for glory. He is certain the ballads will be about him. You look at him and see yourself at 21. You see a boy kneeling in a cold chapel with his sword on the altar. You want to tell him everything. You want to tell him about the peasant levy with the deer's eyes. You want to tell him about the mud and the dysentery and the men turned to wreckage. You want to tell him that the absence of feeling is worse than the feeling. You want to tell him he will bury everyone he loves. He will learn to do it without tears. You want to tell him this is not strength. It is damage. You say none of it. You give him your blessing. You send him into the dark you emerged from. You send him to learn it himself. The way you did, the way everyone does. The hall empties. The fire burns low. The hall is colder than a hall this grand should be. You sit alone with 70 years of ghost. Sir Aldrich who toughened you. The men you ransomed and the men you killed. Elena whose table you would trade a kingdom to sit at one more time. The villages you drained. The boy on the pony who did not look back. They are all here in the dark with you. They do not speak because the dead never do. You think about the title that will pass to your son and to his son after him. You think about the lands and the castles and the long shadow your name will cast. You think about a wooden sword too heavy for a child's hands. You wonder in the quiet whether you ever truly had a choice. You wonder whether the ladder simply dragged you up until there were no rungs left. You do not know. You are too weary to know. You close your eyes. Somewhere in a small hall, a knight with a small holding and a large debt looks at his son. The boy is 7. He does not yet understand why his father will not meet his eyes. Tomorrow there will be a borrowed pony and a long road. There will be a great house full of older boys by the fire. The boy will weep into his sleeve where no one can hear. He will learn to conceal it. He will learn to swing a sword too heavy for his hands. He will climb if he is stubborn enough, if he is fortunate enough. He has no idea what awaits at the top. He has no idea that the top is just a finer kind of cold. He will figure it out.